Take advantage of the Boxing King Media discount at BYD Sheffield. You can get this amazing car for £269 per month with a £269 deposit. Details in the description.
Boxing King Media, powered by BYD, leading EV car manufacturer, probably one of the biggest in the world right now. And here you are, we're proudly sponsored by them, and they got us together again, Dom, for a weekly catch-up. It's been a while.
What did you say to me outside the gym when I first turned up? What did you say? Can you remember exactly what you said?
The sun's deceiving. Yeah, I said something about the sun.
And you know what we say? Sun's out, guns out.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't worry about the weather. I turned up in this t-shirt, yeah? You had like a subarctic coat on. The sun's out, it's a little bit chilly. Yeah,
it's not.
But you've got to remember, Sheffield men are built of different stuff.
Yeah,
you know, they're tough.
Well, it was an Arctic jacket. It was the new Serpa jacket from Boxer, which Johnny likes. Johnny.
Obviously, you brought mine somewhere. But you're going to realise I don't need it now. Yeah.
I don't think you'd wear it anyway. I think it's you're always in a t-shirt, and that's quite a big fluffy thing. But if anybody wants a Serpa jacket, I'll put the link up. Yeah, you can see it now. Where you can get it from. I think it's £100 and something, but a unique piece from Boxer. Moving on, Dom. I'm trying to think, where can we start off? I think last week we spoke about a fair bit. In fact, before we even speak about anything, there's an empty chair next to you.
Yeah, well, there's an empty chair next to me, and I've got it wrong because you.
Oh, he's turned up.
You've got that, what you've got, and I said that can't be him coming because he don't drink coffee. But obviously, over time, things change. Yeah.
So the empty chair, I didn't tell Dom who it was.
I'm glad you've actually got somebody sat next to me more or less my own age now.
So Dom thought it was going to be Dave Allen.
It's Phil and Grant Mitchell.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
We actually literally just pressed record, Ryan, so timing's perfect.
Look at that.
Look at that, perfect timing. Meant to be, I think you had some ring cameras getting delivered or something?
Yeah, I got a time frame of between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. and it came at 12:20.
I bet you're going to ask me some Ryan Rhodes stories from back in the day, aren't you? I can tell you loads.
Well,
I'm not going to tell you all of them. Right. One involves somebody being in the toilet and dropping a stinky one out, and like we all. Oof. But that weren't Ryan. But that's another story. It'll probably never be told, that one. But I tell you, I'm going to tell you one time. I used to make it.
I'm going to come to them because.
Can we talk about it now? Well, we old time.
Go on, then if you're on the floor, go.
No, we'll go on. We'll do.
It's going to be emotional this time. I'm going to get upset. You know how emotional I am.
Yeah, you do. Now we'll go with the flow of the video.
What's the age gap?
Well,
between me and Dom?
There's not much physically. They don't look much in the face. She probably look younger. In fact, if we were sat in here to take his shirts off, you'd probably think you were about 10 years older.
You can just afford Botox and all that face.
Is that what it is?
Oh, right. That's what it is.
Well, one thing I do know is one of you is a granddad and one's not. Am I not saying that? You're not a granddad.
Yeah, this is better not because mine's only just 18, so you better not be.
Mine's a bit old. I started younger than Dom.
Got Grandad Ryan and Dominic Ingle together today. A nice little pairing. I've been trying to get you both together for a while. But
do you know what? Actually, we ought to thinking about this now. We ought to actually do a separate podcast, just like it's probably 10 different ones, all about Ryan Rhodes stories, and we can talk through them. And then we could probably go to something like Junior Witter or Johnny, or and get them in and go through. That might be another angle.
Yeah. It could be. I bet there's some right stories. Ryan looks a bit worried, to be fair, so I don't know if he's going to turn up.
No, he's always had them wrinkles on his head. It's always sunbed days. When he was 18, 19, getting tanned up before his fights.
And my missus had a sunbed shop.
That's it. That's another thing. Yeah. That's where they made most of the money.
Well, the first thing I've got to mention, because Ryan's obviously a product of the gym from the amateur days. You've actually got an amateur show happening next Friday, which I just remembered about. It's at the Greensborough Working Men's Club in Rotherham. Yeah. What street is it on, Luca? Church Street in Rotherham next Friday. Tickets on the door, £15. So if you want to come and watch the next generation of Ryan Rhodes.
And do you know what? The incentive now to box on them amateur shows is same as the incentive back in when he was boxing. And what was the incentive, Ryan? Why did you
trophies?
Well, what else did you get?
A meal.
That's it. A meal. Turn up on a meal.
Yeah. We used to go to Spare's.
Exactly, just for meal. Or if you went down to Derby, that club, they had a strip on afterwards. Yeah, when you're 12 or 13 years old, watching strippers.
Behind the curtains.
Yeah,
huh? That's crazy.
Mad. After the amateur show.
But they kicked everybody out.
But they did.
But Ryan used to put his deep voice on and I'm not predicting. And go in and watch.
Did you, Ryan?
Yeah, I did.
This
curtain.
this one particular woman, she did a trick where she fired ice cube from a certain body part, and I think Ryan once jumped up and caught it, and this fella snatched it off him and started sucking it. Do you remember that or not?
I can't remember that. You didn't get punched for 30 odd years.
No, I did. That's right. I've got a bit more recall than you, Anna.
Okay, well, amateur show next Friday. You can see the next generation of young Ingle gym fighters that are going to be out in action. Just trying to think, where can we start? I think the first thing, I was going to talk about some other stuff, but in fact, whilst we're there, should we just give Dom's book? I don't know if Ryan needs it or...
that's another thing, you see, Ryan, this book here, my book, that's me. That's me. Ryan used to be a bit like that.
Dom, is it? Is that really Dom?
Yeah, it is me, yeah.
Definitely been airbrushed.
So that's me on the bike. But yeah, it's funny, this is my book, my second one. But Ryan was actually probably the first kid when he came to the gym where I had to do a diet for, because he was fighting Paul Silky Jones at 11 stone. And Ryan was always chunky and muscular. And he was about probably 11, 12, a couple of weeks before, say 5 weeks before. And my dad thought that was overweight back then, which it probably was. So I had to come in and give him a diet and kind of train him and get his weight down, because, you know, he'd probably gone up a bit heavier than he should have done. And I remember in here training, I had to give him his food, and he'd come to my house and eat, and he actually stayed at my house. And that's another story, but for a later date. But I did all his food, and he got down to the weight, and he was a massive underdog, because Paul Silky Jones had been the world champion. He'd become the WBO world champion, and he got stripped of it because he wouldn't defend it. And then he ended up boxing Ryan, and it was a big ask for Ryan really at the time, experience-wise. Paul Jones was my age. We nearly boxed each other a few times in the amateur, so there's probably 10 years, 7 or 8 years difference between him and Ryan. And he was he's a good fighter, tough, and he was winning that fight, I thought, Paul Jones, to a certain point, and the tide turned in about 2 rounds. He turned in about 2 rounds, and Paul Jones was quite big for the weight, tall, quite muscular, and he must have struggled to make weight and not give himself enough time. And Ryan kept digging in, even though Ryan was behind, and eventually Ryan just switched, pulled that shot, bang, and he went down, and he looked up, and I thought, he's going to get up, and he just like shook his head. And then when he got up, the reason he didn't get up, apart from being heavy, was that he broke his jaw with 1 shot, and that was it. He weren't getting up, and that was the start of Ryan. Did the flip, and the rest is history.
And you did, man. What do you remember about that?
Yeah.
Why was he a chunky kid? That's what I want to know. What was he?
I was always quite mature for my age.
Big legs.
As a kid, yeah.
Big legs,
big backside. When I was amateur, I had my first fight, and I was 8 stone. But I had big shoulders, I had big legs, and I took that all the way through the amateurs. Like, I was quite thick set as a young kid. I always fought kids what were a lot taller than me, because I was quite heavy for my age. I always used to fight kids what were a lot taller than me. So turning pro, I turned pro at middleweight. I had 9 fights at middleweight, and then I boxed Del Bryan on my 10th fight for just an 8-rounder. My first 8-rounder. I boxed Del Bryan twice.
It was Saunders who boxed the British title.
So I boxed him twice for the British title, but I boxed him on my 10th fight up at Concord Leisure Centre, and that was my first fight down at light middleweight, which put me in the rankings for...
And he come up from welterweight at some point?
He come up from welterweight, he boxed...
Gary Fingy, weren't it? I always remember watching him down at York Hall. The kid was a referee, can't remember the other kid's name, another good kid, Gary somebody in the box, and I think Del Bryant just managed to beat him.
Very awkward fighter. Could punch as well.
Why was he chunky? What was he messing about with? Food?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I think it was just naturally just a chunky lad. When I'd been in here from 6 years old, so training from 6 years old, I'd naturally got quite a big physique, quite square.
You can see the photo up there next to the YouTube thing where Ryan's actually sparring with Errol Graham.
Look at my arms. I was only about 11 then. 10,
so
11.
You think back the time span there? Errol Graham, he's 60. Errol's 65, I think there. So he's 8 years older than me, and I think I'm 8 years older than you are.
Yeah, I'm 48.
There's like 16 years difference there.
I'll have the picture up.
So it's a classic. It's a great photo, and that's Naz, Ryan, a few others. He was a big inspiration in the gym at the time, Errol Graham, and that's why I boxed southpaw. I don't know whether Ryan did, but we all thought this southpaw stance was the stance to have because Errol Graham had got it, and he was elusive and hard to it, and he was doing really well.
Well, there's that old documentary that's still online where you can see a young Ryan Rhodes with like long blondish type hair.
Yeah.
I think you probably behind me somewhere.
I think I'm on the speedball. I think Brendan has.
Did you have that bit of hair down back?
I had that. Yeah, I had that mullet at back. Yeah, I had that mullet at
What was
back.
that mullet about in this? Was that
I don't know.
70s?
I ain't got a clue.
No, 70s was the mullet was in the 80s, weren't it? Like late 80s.
I could afford to have my top of my haircut, but not the finish.
But that was the style at the time.
Yeah, but Brent, in that documentary, I just not chipped my tooth. I banged my head on my brother's head, and I remember coming into the gym on the speedball, and Brendan were doing a documentary. Yeah, Brendan doing a documentary, and he said everybody should look after the teeth, and all. It says even Ryan, show us your teeth, and I just chipped it, and I just felt such an idiot when Brendan said smile, and I got half a tooth.
Ryan Rhodes, let me see his smile. You got me? Oh, he's broke his teeth in. You got the smile.
Have you had them fixed now?
Yeah, I've had them done now.
There you go.
Not had them done, but they're my own teeth.
Yeah.
All right, we'll clarify that. It's worth reminding people as well, like that a lot of new age boxing fans of this podcast that watch this on a regular basis. Ryan was the first. In fact, you did it the quickest. Within 90 days, you won the British title outright, and you're the youngest post-war holder of the British title. At that time, how much did that mean? Like, was it a big deal within the gym?
So when I boxed Paul for the British title, I knew I was going to be the youngest in, I think, 57 years. I was the youngest. I got 12 grand.
Yeah, I was going to ask him that.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Silky turned somewhere like 80 or 90 grand down to go to America.
Yeah.
To fight in America to defend his world champion. And he boxed me, I think, for probably the same kind of money.
But there's a story with that, because I always remember that time, because I'm not sure whether Paul Jones became the WBO champion before Naz or just after. You'd have to look on the record book. And I get a feeling that for some reason it was around about the same time Naz did. Might have been just before, but I always remember there was a fighter called Bronco McCart and Verno Phillips, very good kids. They were going to box for the world title. And Bronco McCart was a bald-headed kid, very tough, and he was going to be the favourite. And for some reason, he pulled out, and they were stuck for a fight. So Verno Phillips, I think at the time, Paul Jones was with Barry Hearn.
Yeah, he was.
However they managed it, they managed to get Verno Phillips over to Sheffield to box Paul Jones. And I think
Hillsborough Leisure Centre.
Hillsborough, not Pond Ford.
No, Hillsborough Leisure Centre.
And Paul Jones did, the unthinkable and beat this Bronco McCart.
Verno Phillips.
Oh, sorry, Verno Phillips.
Yeah.
But the winner, the stipulation was the winner had to fight this Bronco McCart within so many days. Yeah. And I remember Paul Jones didn't want to fight this kid. He probably wanted to pick, but he had to do it. And I think he went around everywhere trying to get out of the fight and trying to do a deal and do this and that. It didn't work out. And he gave up the title. And back in them days, he turned down a lot of money. And we could never quite understand it, because even if you went to America and got beat, in them days, the time, 80 or 90 grand were a lot of money. And I can't help thinking, I used to see interviews with him, and he used to say, I'm the only champion who didn't lose my belt in the ring, because you didn't fight, you just give it up. Yeah. And then the next fight, he had to box Ryan, which he probably thought, well, I might as well have the money and I'll beat Ryan, I should be able to beat him. And he didn't, and it was kind of downhill from there, and Ryan was on the rise. So it's just funny how things work out, and how one bad decision can change your whole career, because I don't think Paul ever regrouped from that.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, you won it outright twice, yeah? Got that right?
Yeah, so I won it and defended it twice. I beat the fireman, Peter Wardby, at Hillsborough Leisure Centre. And then my last defence was Del Bryan. I boxed Del Bryan in, where's Thaxton from?
Norwich.
Yeah,
Norwich Sports Village.
Yeah, it was the sports village. But I'd booked a holiday after the second defence. So I booked a holiday about 3-4 weeks later, and Brendan said, "You've got an opportunity to box again." I said, "Oh, I booked an holiday." He said, No, this could be a big thing. You could win it. You could be the quickest to win it ever outright. I went, "No, I booked an holiday." He went, "Are you mad?"
This holiday probably cost him about 100 quid and we're getting about 30 odd grand for fight. But mentality is, I'm going on holiday. We're in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, probably, yeah. He went, "Are you mad? You could win it outright, the Lonsdale belt's yours, and you could be in the record books." So he persuaded me to cancel my holiday. Never got the money back for the holiday.
No, not the 100 quid.
But look at that.
In them days, you could pay 100 quid, get an all-inclusive for 14 days in Puerto Rico in Gran Canaria.
Yeah.
They were happy days, weren't
They're
they?
brilliant days.
But look, to my knowledge, nobody's broken that.
No,
Well, they can't.
Well, you've got to defend it
22 now.
3 times now.
Yeah.
So you've got to win it and defend it 3 times now.
So was it only 2 times in your time?
So in my time, it was
didn't know
twice. Yeah, win it and defend it twice.
Okay.
And it were 90 days.
But when you won it the second time-
I think Michael Ayres were 95 days. He were the outright.
And
the quickest.
also, you were 20, weren't you?
I was
And
20.
they don't let you do it till 21 now.
No, is it 21 now?
Yeah, I
that?
think it's 21.
I didn't even know that.
So no one's ever breaking that.
Yeah, so
record.
they're never going to break it now.
No, I didn't even know that.
What a record to have, a look at that.
Yeah.
You missed a holiday out, but you're in the history books. For
I know,
that.
I know.
You know when you won it outright the second time, did you have to defend it 3 times?
I didn't win it outright the second
did you
time.
not? You
I
just
just won
won
it
it?
and defended it once.
okay.
Yeah, I beat Kid from London and defended it once. So I never won it outright the second.
Gary Woolcombe.
Gary Woolcombe, yeah.
He was
Yeah.
undefeated, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Gary Woolcombe weren't undefeated because Facey beat him.
Before me?
Yeah,
Was it?
yeah.
Oh, I might have then.
Yeah, he did, because I always remember
Yeah.
it was at Goals Leisure Centre, and we took Andrew Facey down, and Andrew Facey was working in a full-time job.
Yeah.
And
Don't forget
we had to go through, we had to weigh in this pub in the middle of London, and Frank Maloney had arranged it, and it took us forever to get to this weigh-in.
You need to take.
And we take the foil out, and he has had too many shots.
I've never had foil in my coffee before.
Yeah, take it
Just
off.
keep it warm.
So we had to wait in this pub in the middle of London, and we got there. We were about 3 hours late, and this kid had already weighed in, and the official was still waiting. And Frank Maloney goes, "I told you they'd be here." I goes, "Frank," I goes, "It's work. Why on earth have you arranged this weigh-in at 2 o'clock in the middle of London?" Or should I say Kelly, in the middle of London on a Friday afternoon? Like, it's been a nightmare. And Andrew Facey we drove down there, he'd already made the weight, so he's obviously dehydrated all the way down. And he looked, oh God, he just looked like a bit of greaseproof paper wrapped up, with like scrunched up. He was like dehydrated.
Facey?
Yeah.
So awkward though.
Yeah.
What on
So
awkward is.
Frank Maloney looked at me, you could see him thinking, phew, he's not going to last long.
Yeah, easy job this.
So we got to goals.
Kelly gone.
Sorry?
You said
Kelly.
Frank again.
Oh,
Kelly.
well, whatever I can call it. It's interchangeable. And
I've got a story about that as well.
okay, well,
Share it.
I hope it's not one of them kind of stories.
Well,
But anyway, so he gets
Yeah.
to the fight, and we're going down the corridor, and Gary Woolcombe's there, and he's, I remember once seeing him up in a show, and he was getting a big build up in the boxing news, beating all these kids, and his little trick were eating jelly babies for energy before a fight. And anyway, I saw him up in somewhere in like Huddersfield at a fight, and I said, "Oh, you're Gary Woolcombe, everybody's talking about." I says, "That's the real deal, then the jelly babies." He went, "Yeah, okay." So in goes Broke, going to the fight. He's got these 2 ring-code girls, flags, Frank Maloney, him walking out. Maloney shouts down, "Dominic, he's the next champion." I think it was an English title fight. I went, "Listen, Frank," I says, "he might be walking in with them lasses and with flags," I says, "but we'll be walking out with him, and them jelly babies aren't going to help him." And Gary Woolcombe turned around, because Facey's going to knock him out, trust me. And Gary Woolcombe's face dropped, and he got in, and Andrew Facey did knock him out, it stopped him. So he regrouped then, Gary Woolcombe, and then he got his chance against Ryan.
yeah.
And, Ryan, I think Ryan stopped him, didn't you?
Yeah, 7 rounds.
It was a good knockout.
Yeah.
Whilst you're there, I'm gonna that video I did of you years ago. I'm gonna put that up as well, just so fans can just be reminded of Ryan's skills. But now that they've seen that, do you want to remind us about this story? You said you had a story about Frank.
Frank Maloney.
Yeah.
So
You didn't box for him, did you? You didn't box for him. Oh, when he
I boxed Jamie Moore. It was on Frank's show, so it was. He shortchanged me. Let's put it this way. He shortchanged me. Not much.
I'm gonna say before you even said it, did it involve not getting all the money you should have got?
Correct. He shortchanged me a little bit. Not much.
What's the story though? Like, how did he shortchange you?
So I should have collected some. I got paid through my bank, but I should have collected some on the night.
Some
Didn't collect
expenses.
it on the night expenses.
I'll send him you the post.
Didn't collect them on the night. Never heard from Frank again. I.e. So then he changed to Kelly. So
And so
when
nothing's valid now.
I see Kelly,
So now we're back in. Just had to change the battery there. My bad. So the reason I was talking about the British title was because now we're seeing a lot of fighters skip the British title, go straight for WBA belts and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if you can give me an idea from your
To me,
time.
I think winning the British title is a lot harder now, and I think it's an easier option for fighters to go for an international, an intercontinental, and fight European, world fighters to get that little bit, you know. I mean, I don't know how much they put you into the rankings now, but the internationals or the intercontinentals used to be top 15.
Yeah.
Top 15, and I don't know whether it's still that, but winning a British title, you're not going to get put in the top 15 rankings of the organisations. And
You used to have to win the EBU.
Yeah.
Then I put you into WBC.
yeah,
That was the rule.
so I think it's probably harder now for British fighters to fight for a British title and win a British title. I mean, when any of the British fighters turned professional, to me, back in the 90s when I turned pro, the one thing I wanted to win was a British title. When I first came into the gym and I seen Errol, Johnny, Brian Anderson, Fidel,
They all won it.
they all won a British title. They all had that British title. Whenever, such as like you guys came down with the cameras, the calendar, look north, local newspapers, local journalism, they'd all have the British title for pictures and things like that. So in my head, when I came to the gym, that was my goal, to win a British title. Not a world title, not a European title, a British title. So I just think it's probably harder now to win a British title than it is to go for an international or intercontinental title.
You forgot to bring it with you, didn't you?
Yeah.
No, I don't actually, to be honest. He's got him boot to his car and he sleeps in it every night.
No, do you know
and he says to his missus when he goes to sleep, who's the champ? And she'll go, you all right, Ian? Still. And they've been together a long time. I'll tell you what about the British title belt. Back in the day when, you know, Mickey Duff, Mike Barrett had control of everything, before you could move on to a world title as a fighter through them, you had to win the British title. Then you had to win the European title. And then they put you, if you couldn't win the British title, you didn't get a crack at you. You couldn't go, as fighters now, you can go bypass the British title. But then you had to go through the procedure, British, probably Commonwealth, but definitely European. And when you got the European belt, you were in the rankings of the WBC, and then you were in for a world title fight. And that's the way they did it. And so if you couldn't get past that British title level as a fighter, you'd have to keep trying. So I remember Alan Minter boxing, not one of the Finnegans, one of the other fighters, bad cuts. He boxed. I can't remember who it was, but it might be Feeney, either George or John Feeney. I think you'd have to look on your box rake. And I think Minter might have lost a few times because of cuts, and they were very good, the Feeneys. And then they either disappeared or Minter beat him, and he moved then through, and he went through and boxed Vito Antuofermo for the world title. But if you look at Alan Minter's record, he had losses on his record before he became British champion and before he got past that British title level where they moved him on to become world champion. Obviously, he boxed Marvin Hagler, famous fight, chucking cans in, he got stopped. Hagler, nobody ever heard of him. And Hagler came over and beat Alan Minter, and the rest is history. But it's an interesting story if you look back through the records. I think it was the Feeneys, one of them we had to box. And so it just shows you had to get to that level before they'd even move you anywhere else. But now they circumvent it by doing these international titles and getting a ranking somewhere else and bypassing that and doing this. And you know, Junior Witter, when he boxed for the world title, I don't think he wasn't even British champion when he boxed Zab Judah and he boxed at IBF. He wasn't even the British champion, I don't think. So
I think Junior bypassed the British title though. Did he go to European
I'm
championship?
saying to you, Junior didn't box the British. The first big fight Junior had
Was that Zab Judah? Yeah.
And then he went down and boxed the British, then the Commonwealth, then the European, and then worked his way back up again.
Yeah.
The one point I wanted to raise was, and I don't know if you can correct me, Ryan, I asked Rob Smith recently about the British Boxing Board regards to when you win it outright. Am I right in saying you've got to fight your mandatories? You can't just pick the next undefeated fight.
No.
Because I asked him about Gary Sykes, because apparently he never got his belt.
He never got his belt, yeah.
I don't. They're saying it was an admin error, but he told me that he never fought a mandatory from the British board. That's why whoever he defended it against, the third.
Well, that's changed because
that's what I got told.
When Ryan won it, because it was a big thing, that he boxed Paul Jones, and then they made the other fights. Now, whether the board put them in as mandatory or not, I don't know. They might have been the official mandatory, but we didn't really see it that way, because you could just box a load of stiffs. But they probably, I think in them days, they might have
stiffs.
Well, no, yours weren't stiffs, but I was just saying you just couldn't box any stiffs to win, because you could put any stiffs in who will qualify.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Peter Ward would have been the mandatory.
No, so it was a voluntary.
But what they
I'm not
did,
sure whether Del Bryan was a mandatory.
yeah.
Though.
So, but what happens is then is because there were 3 fights and you could box anybody, and these belts are like heavily gold plated. They cost quite a few quid, and what the board found is that these belts are going out faster than they normally should.
Coming in.
So they changed the stipulation that you had to be 21, that you had to have a defence, and you had to have a win and 3 defences, and then they probably added in, you've got to fight your mandatories. So them rules have probably changed. And I don't think at the time Robert Smith wasn't in charge. It was Simon Block.
Simon Block.
So Simon Block, who was before Robert Smith, and before Simon Block was a fellow called John Morris. So the rules will have changed. And just, you know, coincidentally, when Junior Witter won the British title, he won the British title against Alan Bosworth. Alan Bosworth. He only defended it once against. She'll come to me now. He defended it once. And because nobody else had fight him, they gave him the belt outright.
Okay, that's interesting.
And then, what did he box? What's his cut? What they call from down? Oh, it'll come to me. But the thing is, he boxed him for he defended against that a kid for the British at 10 stone. And then when Junior won the welterweight title at Hillsborough Leisure Centre, he boxed the same kid again. It'll come to me now. I forget what he called him. But yeah, so that just shows you how they have to change rules, because they wanted Junior to give up the belt so somebody else could contest it.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on to some other stuff, because we could probably talk about
this all day long, yeah.
All day, couldn't we? But one of the things I want to talk about is charity. It's a good month where people are giving charity. Ryan, I know you've done loads of stuff with the Bluebell Hospital before.
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing it up was because I was at an event last week with Amir Khan, and he was raising money for charity as well. So I know a lot of boxers get involved in charity. I know your dad kind of taught that a lot as well, Dom. Any charities you can remember from back in the day, like when your first kind of memories of giving?
Oh, I think, you know, at one time the gym was affiliated with the Sheffield Children's Hospital. That was the charity that we always did deal with, you know, from time. And I don't know where that connection ended, but with that, over the time when Errol Graham was doing it, and on that period of time, it was always doing exhibitions, doing stuff for the Children's Hospital. So that's the one that we've been associated with for quite a long time, yeah.
And Bluebell Hospital's a big one.
Yeah, we've over the last probably 6-7 years, we've supported Bluebell Wood by events, the events we do, the pro shows, what we raise money by selling memorabilia and stuff like that, or auctions and things like that. I mean, it's always good to support charities. I think it just comes naturally, you know, when there's an opportunity to put a glove up for auction, what you've got off a well-known fighter, it's just easily done.
Colin Lyons, that's a bit where. So he boxed him twice. Sorry, I had to. Cogs turning. So Colin Lyons he defended against.
I bet, yeah.
And then he boxed him for the welterweight. And Junior at the time, I think the record was he was the oldest welterweight champ to win the welterweight.
Junior?
Yeah, he was the oldest kid to win the welterweight championship.
Kind of like the youngest and the oldest in the same gym.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's it's an interesting fight. But yeah, so you've done all that.
Charities is. I mean, some people might think that you're doing it for clout and for acknowledgement and things like that, but it's just easy that we're in contact with all these famous fighters, what the public really love and admire and watch on the TV and everything. It's an opportunity to purchase a glove and things like that. It's just so easy for us to do.
It is, and like you said, if obviously if you're a person of faith or whatever, I think the rewards are there, aren't they? That's why people do it. The reason I brought Amir Khan up, because I was talking to him the other week, and he said he doesn't watch many things other than this podcast. So Amir Khan's a fan of Dominic Ingle's podcast as well. Could you believe it?
I never thought that I've got a fan in Amir Khan.
Yeah, he watches it. He'll probably be watching this.
To be honest, you know what? I remember the first time. Well, not the first time, but one of the times I saw Amir Khan, I went over to Bridlington because you used to have the finals for the you box
ABA
there?
finals. Yeah.
Did you box there?
Junior, I boxed at York Hall. I didn't box in Bridlington.
And I went over, and Kel was in fighting a kid, and Amir Khan obviously went over with Kel, and my brother said, "Oh, this is the next, this other kid here. It's Amir Khan from Overbolt, and he's like supposed to be brilliant." And he boxed a Sheffield kid called Nicky Smedley. And Nicky Smedley weren't bad, but this is Mia Khan. I could just remember thinking, wow, he's fast. And like this kid before he'd even set Nicky Smedley, Khan had thrown a flurry of punches. Anyway, he won, and maybe with he goes, he'd make a good pro him. And he obviously, I think his old trainer Jolly trained him for a few fights, and along with Oliver Harris, and then his career took off. So it's interesting when you watch it at that level, because I only ever used to go and watch the finals to see where the quality kids were coming through and where they progressed to, and you can always remember the names. But like I say, Mia Khan and Kelly, you look how the career started from there, intertwined
many years later.
Yeah, and then they met years later. And
I would like me and Gary Lockett.
Yeah.
So me and Gary Lockett went all the way through the amateurs. He was either the weight below me or he was the weight above me. We were never at the same weight. And then we met years later for WBU world title.
Yeah.
Boxed at Millennium Stadium.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's mad, isn't it? And just before I ask you speak about some boxing subjects, have you guys seen the Liam Cameron documentary we put out?
I've been watching bits. I've
watched the first one. Is the second one out yet?
It's out this Sunday at 7 p.m.
He's just a comic. He's just a comedian.
What about the production value?
Brilliant. Well, that as well. But I'm on about.
Has done the production fair play.
You can do the production if you've got the characters to play the part.
You gotta have the vision.
Him and his mate are such a great double act.
Yeah, but we like to think that it's really what he's doing is actually making these kids into stars. Forget about the you're going to look at that from that point because you're the actor, aren't you? But like I say, look how good they made you look.
Yeah. But I would like to work with people from no matter whether you're coming up or.
No, but Liam's got a great story to work with. He can obviously a sad story
and
as well.
And in this period of time, all coming up to this fight, he has got a fantastic beard that any Muslim could be proud of, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's like better than yours.
And the airline as well now.
Yeah.
So I think, are you ready for next step in going to Turkey or going looking for his airline or getting his hair done?
I'm sticking with it, mate.
Are you sticking with it, yeah?
But the second one's out on Sunday. Any particular bits did you enjoy out of that first one?
Just how he's just your typical boxer, hasn't got a clue with his forgets things left, right, and centre.
He's already to the fight. Put him into the fight.
Just forget his keys, forgets his. I do the exact same things, but it's my phone. I lose my phone all the time.
And usually when he's lost it, he finds it and it's in my hand. I didn't realise I'm holding it. Where's my hand? Where's my phone?
I'll put my hand up and it's in my ear. But your typical boxer forgets absolutely everything. Bank card, phone,
pay
keys.
The trainer, pay the manager. Yeah, that's where the memory loss is the worst.
If I had done that, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
Yeah.
We'd be in that ring fighting.
Yeah,
that's it.
Fair play, but like I said, the second part's brilliant. It concludes brilliantly, and I think the best part for me was when he's at the cash machine and he hasn't got nothing other than his Amazon TV remote.
So I found out yesterday. So I'm talking about this yesterday in my gym, and my mate who I was training, Carter, he said he's the one that's walking out of the barbers with his slick back hair, what looks like a traveller. He'd just been in the barbers next door to have his hair done.
So he did mention to Ryan whether you can put a bubble over it saying Carter pointing down, unstoppable sex machine, yeah?
I'm going to have to look at that because I hadn't looked back at that, but he said he's the one where they film him.
And he wants to know if you've got the consent for filmed him, or he's got to claim him.
He wants a kickback on it.
Yeah. The best part was, I think, to show our two guys from different backgrounds, how boxing brought them together and made an amazing friendship where cultures, faiths, skin colour, nothing divides them.
Exactly.
It's just a genuine friendship.
Unless you're racist like me.
Yeah, unless you're EDL Dom.
EDL Dom. You know what the D in EDL is, don't you? I'm saying you know what the D in EDL is, don't you? English Dom League.
English Dom League.
I could have sworn I seen you at them hotels.
Yeah, down.
It's like when your dad's back in the day, there's where he's telling a kid off about the NF. He didn't realise it's Dom. It's Dom that's been writing NF on the walls.
The kid outside that gym, it's a classic clip. Nah, then Brendan, all right. Anthony O'Brien, no teeth. Are you still with the NF, Anthony? No, Jackie's married a black girl. So a fellow was in charge of the NF. And they used to meet at this Winkerbank Hotel. Yeah. They used to have the meetings up there on the corner of the pub.
With Dom.
Yeah, whatever. I was only about 10. But my dad says, what's happened to me? He goes, oh, well, he's got a black girlfriend there, so he's packed it all in. So you couldn't write it, can you? The kid who was running the NF meetings, National Front, has got a black girlfriend and he's packed his legs. He's converted.
You couldn't make it up, could you? What a way to kind of sort his thought process.
Wow.
So let's talk boxing.